who is new, this channel is dedicated to helping people recover from spiritual bypass and a specific type of spiritual bypass called Neo-Advaita or Neo-Non-Duality. Thanks for dropping by. So lately I've been sharing about things that have helped me on my recovery journey. And one of the big ones was connecting with actual legitimate non-dual teachers. And I spent a lot of time talking about what I mean by that. And maybe by the end of this video, that'll also be clear. But the first one who I spent time with was a very famous spiritual teacher named Ammachi, Ammachi. And I didn't even know she was a non-dual teacher because she rarely talked about most of the things that we think of as non-dual. Like every now and then she would say something like, "You are the divine consciousness." But mostly she just spent her time giving people guidance on how to live a harmonious life. And so it took me years to realize that she was a non-dual teacher because I had such a false paradigm from all the Neo-Advaita, all the neo-non-duality of what non-duality was. But it ends up she is teaching traditional non-duality of you don't just go around playing word games. You teach people how to live a harmonious, balanced life, and when certain individuals are ready, then you really get thick into what we think of as non-dual philosophy of you are the self and everything is one. And but traditional non-duality is very practical, and that's how she taught it. She taught things that help people come into balance and live well. And then, for those who are more curious, then more was available. But you had to, like traditional non-duality, you had to be ready for it. So that was wild, because I started seeing her in like 1999, and it wasn't until, I don't know, 2014 or something, I was like, wait, she's a non-dual teacher? Like that blew me away. So the next one that I encountered was a guy named James Schwartz, and I've talked about him a little bit on this channel. So first I read his book, The Essence of Enlightenment. It blew me away. Because in the very first chapter, he said, what I'm sharing isn't my message. This is the message of Advaita Vedanta. So he was kind of joking. He's like, if you don't like the message, please don't get mad at me. And nothing I'm saying is my teaching. What I'm saying is the teachings of a tradition, that I'm part of a tradition. And I was like, wow, I've never heard a neo-non-duality teacher say anything like that. Neo-non-dual teachers are like, this is my realization, or this is the truth. But James's book was so humble. And it was also grounded in, traditional Vedic wisdom, because I'd studied the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm like, wow, what this guy is teaching is actually in alignment with the tradition, which I had studied some of. And I actually had a chance to do a couple one-on-one talks with him. I was like, this is a normal, balanced guy. Like, I could just have a conversation with him. Obviously, we talked about spiritual things and non-duality, but I was like, this is I mean grounded and balanced. And you could feel it in his book. Like his book was very street smart. So then after that, I met a really interesting name. He's a Swami, so very traditional, literally a monk and a traditional teacher in the lineage of Advaita Vedanta. And I've shared a bunch about my connections with him, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. My first conversation with him, he just wanted to get to know me. He's like, because I moved to the area where his temple was. And he's like, do you have family nearby? What do you do for a living? Like, he's like a normal guy. I mean, even though he's a monk, and actually I believe a very realized being, he was very grounded. And I was like, what? Once again, it blew my mind. It's funny. His way of teaching me nowadays is he won't even talk to me about philosophy. If I bring up something philosophical or spiritual, he'll just nod his head and be like, hmm. But like if he asks me how I'm doing and I say something like, oh, I've got this going on or da da da, and we'll just have a conversation like normal human beings. Like the last conversation he and I had was about he had a low tire and he's like, where do you think I should go? Like it's really funny. That's his way of teaching me. It cracks me up. Um, and then after I met a really cool teacher named Swamini Brahmaprajananda. Gosh, how do you even spell that? Swamini, Swamini, Brahma, Brahmaprajnanda. Swamini Brahma Prajananda. She was amazing. She's a former psychologist, and she became, again, a Swamini, female monk nun, teacher. And talk about grounded and yet mystical. And I was like, these are balanced, integrated human beings. I spent a lot of time with a lot of Neo-Advaita teachers, and they were the opposite of that. They were unbalanced and just philosophical, and some of them had, huge scandals connected. And I'm like, these are balanced, integrated, healthy, peaceful people. Not dramatic. Able to have conversations about tires and so for a while I was exploring traditional non-duality as a path, and that's how I bumped into these different teachers. But I have to say, meeting the real deal really helped me to let go of the bullshit and then to spot the bullshit, because the bullshit is out there and it's prevalent and it's spreading like a disease. But yeah, James Schwartz's book, The Essence of Enlightenment, really kind of changed my life in a sense. It was the first traditional non-dual book I read, and it was so systematic and so logical and so grounded. So that's one thing that really helped me to pop out of Neo-Advaita, but also it helped me to realize like you can't skip the basics. Like we've all got to learn how to be balanced, integrated, healthy, harmonious human beings. And that's what a lot of spiritual bypass is about trying to skip that or avoid that. So I hope this is helpful to beings. Again, I'm not promoting traditional non-duality. I'm just sharing how learning a little bit of it and associating with some of these people really did help me to break out of neo-non-duality. Thanks so much. I wish everyone a blessed, blessed day.